transferred to Manchester United today.
Football predictions.
If Barbara Rangers nil, Ipswich Town 1.
Football predictions.
Hi, it's Peter Guest,
And the Moose.
and we're here for another episode of the footballpredictions.net podcast covering Italy Serie A games for the 17th to the 19th of August 2024. What do we have lined up, Moose?
Yes, here's how the season in the Italian Serie A is going to kick off. Genoa at home to Inter Milan. Parma, Fiorentina. Empoli takes on Monza. AC Milan takes on Torino. Bologna takes on Udinese. Napoli travels to Verona. Cagliari takes on AS Roma. Lazio takes on Venezia. Atalanta travels to Lecce. And finally, Juventus takes on promoted Como.
Yeah, you can see all the details for these matches that we're about to discuss in this podcast on our website, footballpredictions.net, along with fixtures from just about every other football competition in the world.
And on our website, it will show you where to find the games on local broadcast channels, plus video streaming services, as well as match odds from local bookmakers.
Yeah, look in the description of this podcast episode and you'll find direct clickable links to all the matches that we're about to discuss. So geolocation and live streaming rules apply. 18 plus, gamble aware. Let's go with Genoa, who take on Inter Milan. What a game to start off. Saturday, 17th of August, 5:30 UK time. For this game, footballpredictions.net provides your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available viewing options. And of course, this game you can stream live on Bet365. Use our bonus code FP365 if you're going to do that. Take us through this one.
Yeah, Inter Milan looked so strong last season, didn't they? They won the Serie A by a country mile, nearly 20 points down to the rivals from AC Milan. And they brought in quite a few players this window as well. One of the big profiles from Sassuolo, Fratesi, Martinez, Augusto. So yeah, they strengthened the team and did not let too many players go. So we're going to look at a very similar Inter Milan team here from last season. And Simone Inzaghi as the manager, of course, he'll be looking to probably field a very similar lineup. But yeah, if we start with Genoa, typically they play a 3-5-2. It'll probably be Golini in goal, Di Vinta, Bani, Vasquez at the back, and then a midfield of Sabelli, Frendrup, Badil, Malinovsky, and Martin, and then up front, Messias and Vitina. Now, for Inter Milan, similar to last season, Jan Sommer in goal, and then a back three with Pavard, Acerbi, and Bastoni, and then a midfield with Dumfries, Barella, Calhanoglu, Mkhitaryan, and Di Macro, and then Martinez and Thuram up front. So yeah, it's a very similar team for Inter Milan as to last season. And yeah, wow, it's going to be a tricky way for Genoa to start their season because this looks like an Inter Milan win, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at least it's at home for them. And I know Inter have got some player fitness concerns, haven't they? Arnautovic is
Arnautovic.
Feature.
Yeah,
they've got Zielinski. He's got some problems. We've got De Vries, who's also got a hamstring, and Buchanan. So yeah, they've maybe not got all the players they would like to choose from, but we do think regarding our prediction that there's probably only going to be one winner, and we think that will be Inter. I'll tell you the odds on that if you like. We've got Inter Milan to win at 1.53 to win away. We've gone for actually, Italian football often can be fairly cagey, can't it? We've gone for an under 2.5 goals prediction in this one. Odds on that 1.91, which we think is probably the best of the selections here. If you did want to go for a correct score, 1-0 is what we've gone for here to Inter, and you get odds of that of 7 or 6-1. In our poll, just interestingly, 63% of voters predict Inter Milan and 15% Genoa. So yeah, it could be tight. We think it will be, and we've gone for the 1-0. Moving on
Yeah.
to Parma, who take on Fiorentina. Kicks off on
Yeah.
Saturday, 17th of August, 5:30 UK time. Do go to footballpredictions.net for the local kickoff time, betting odds, and broadcast streaming options available in your area. We know it's being streamed live on Bet365. You can watch it for free, subscription free. You just have to have a unit of currency deposited or have placed a bet in the last 24 hours. You can watch that there. Use our bonus code if you're new to them. Our bonus code is FP365. So, yeah, what do we think about how these two are going to line up?
Yeah, Fiorentina, they made it quite fine Europe again last season, didn't they? Then it just kind of died out a little bit in the Serie A towards the end of the season. Parma, new boys, they won the Serie B last season. So yeah, promoted team into the Serie A and taking on Fiorentina in the first game is going to be a really hard test for them as well. Now, when we look at the two teams and how they have they had any transfer business? Not really. I think in terms of Fiorentina, they brought in a few players, Pogracic from Lecce and Keane from Juventus. But at the same time, Nikola Milenkovic, he actually went to Nottingham Forest. So one of the profile at the back, he was replaced by Pogracic, so from Lecce. So really like for like there in terms of transfer business, not really any major improvements for Fiorentina. And yeah, obviously on the other hand, you got Parma, who has come up from the Serie B. You don't get the same kind of money for promotion in Italy as you do in the UK or in England. So it's not like they have huge budgets to just improve their squads as they come up. And actually, the only business that Parma has done this summer is the goalkeeper Sion Suzuki, who was bought in from St. Troyden. And that's actually how we also predict them to line up. Obviously, Suzuki in goal, Koulibaly, Balak, Osorio, Valeri at the back, Esteves, Sohm sort of holding midfield, Dennis Mann, Banebe, and Mihaila as a three behind Antoine Bunny at the top. When we look at Fiorentina, the more like this, they tend to play a 3-4-2-1. They did bring in David De Gea on a free transfer actually, so he's got a team now, and we actually think he's going to start in goal. So David De Gea in goal, and then they got Quata Pogracic, who they brought in from Lecce to replace Milenkovic, and then Biraci at the back. Dodo Amrabat is back from his loan at Man United, and he'll most likely go straight back into the lineup, we think. And then Mandragora and Parisi, and then up front Galbani and Gonzalez, and then Moise Keane up front. So yeah, that's how we predict the two teams to line up. But yeah, overall, tricky one for Parma to start off with. But equally for Fiorentina, it's not easy to go to these promoted teams because they're going to come with a little bit of momentum. So yeah, it's not going to be a straightforward game for them.
We think it'll be a close game, but we do think that Fiorentina can get the winning goal that gets them over the line at the start of the season. We've gone for a 1-0 away win to Fiorentina. Correct score prediction for a 1-0 is actually 9 odds, or 8-1. So that's a possibility to look at. Regarding Fiorentina to win, you get odds of 2.25. So they're not massively favoured, but they are our pick to win. But we've got our kind of most likely one we think for this game is under 2.5 goals. And you can pick that up of odds of 1.91. Shall we get on to Empoli, who take on Monza? This one is on at 7:45 in the evening, UK time, that is, on the 17th of August, that's Saturday night. Visit footballpredictions.net to view the kickoff time, betting odds, and broadcast streaming channels tailored to your location for this match. But we do know this one's being broadcast on Bet365, live streamed. Use our bonus code FP365 if you're new to them. So Empoli, they've had a good start. They've just won 4-1, didn't they, in the Coppa Italia, whereas Monza didn't get. They had a draw in the Coppa Italia. But going into this one, what do we think about them?
Yeah, I mean, two teams last season, one escaping relegation right at the end in Empoli. Monza kind of was sitting mid-table for majority of the season. In the Serie A, I think really towards the end, they weren't in great form actually. They didn't win any of the last 9 matches in the Serie A last season. So yeah, they started to really drop off in terms of the league table. But yeah, they were safe. I mean, they were safe for a long time. But yeah,
They could afford it.
yeah, Empoli had a really narrow escape. They just escaped relegation by 1 point. So I'm pretty sure that they will be quite they'll be quite up for not having that kind of end to the season again, won't they? Empoli in the transfer window. If we look at these two teams, we've not had too much activity from either team. In fact, Empoli they've not bought a single player for cash. They bought in a free transfer, and then they have like quite a few loan signings, especially from some of the bigger teams. So like they brought in Colombo and Vasquez from AC Milan, Solbakken from Roma, Esposito from Inter. So yeah, Empoli is kind of, they don't have a big budget, and it's kind of reflected in the way that they have to navigate the transfer market. So a lot of loanies, and probably what seems like quite a difficult season ahead. Monza, they bought in, I have to pronounce this correctly, Kyriakopoulos from Sassuolo, the relegated side Sassuolo. They bought him in for 3 million. But yeah, one of the big profiles, Augusto, went to Inter for 13 million euros, which in Italy is quite a big fee. So yeah, but yeah, like for like replacement. So yeah, really both teams who are looking to be in a very similar state to last season. But yeah, how they're gonna line up, we predict probably Empoli in their classic 3-4-2-1 system. Vasquez in goal, Ismaili, Viti, Kakase, and at the back, and then sort of a midfield of Guasi, Fassini, Haas, and Pesella, Sukovski, Esposito, and then Lorenzo Colombo up front, who is the loan signing from AC Milan. He'll probably start up front. And yeah, for Monza, they actually play a very similar formation to Empoli. Sorrentino in goal, Iso, Villa, Carboni at the back, Birindelli, Pessini, Bondo, and new signing Kyriakopoulos in that midfield 4, and then Maldini, Mota, and Juric up front. So yeah, that's how we predict the two teams to line up against each other. But yeah, no matter what, this is gonna be a tight game, and we think that probably Empoli could edge it.
Yeah, the last time they played each other was in January this year, and it finished 3-0 to Empoli. This time we think it'll be a lot tighter, but we still do think that Empoli will get over the line. Correct score, what have we got, Moose?
We've gone for a narrow 1-0 win for Empoli in this game. So yeah, an Empoli home win, 1-0. But yeah, we'll probably take a look at the goals market here.
Yeah, let me look at the odds on that we've got on the website, footballpredictions.net. So Empoli to win is 2.4. So, fairly even with the bookies, but under 2.5, which is what we're looking at, you get odds of 1.73. We think that's going to be the go for this one. And just looking at our 1-0 correct score prediction, you get odds of 7.5 for that. Just interestingly, in our poll, a user poll on the website page, 48% of people think Empoli will win, and only 14% Monza. So, yeah, people are agreeing with us as well. So, although in in recent history, Monza have been able to register wins against Empoli. It's just in this one, we think that Empoli will have the upper hand. So
Yeah.
let's move on to AC Milan, who take on Torino. And this one's on 17th of August. That's Saturday at 7:45 UK time. Go to footballpredictions.net for your local kickoff times, betting odds, and broadcast streaming channels that are available in your area. This one's broadcast, we know, streamed on Bet365. Use our bonus code FP365 if you're going to join with them, or just use the clickable link in our description. So yeah, both these sides kind of finished on a bit of an up and down end to last season. So what are your views on this game?
Yeah, again, like if we look at AC Milan and what have they done in the transfer window, they actually brought in quite a few players, mainly to strengthen their backline. Pavlovic from Salzburg, Emerson Royal from Spurs, and an experienced centre forward in Alvaro Morata from Atletico Madrid. So it seems some decent business. They did sell the Catalan to Atalanta for 22 million euros. So it's quite a big transfer there for Atalanta as well. But yeah, overall looks like AC Milan has strengthened their team a bit, which they had to, because really, like we said earlier on the podcast, they were nearly 20 points behind Inter Milan last season, but AC Milan did actually end up finish second. So the big question this season is, can they challenge for the title? And yeah, they start against a Torino side who's got up to a winning start in the Coppa d'Italia. But yeah, in these first Coppa d'Italia games for the lower ranked teams from last season, they do play some lower ranked teams also in Italy. So should be an easy win for them because they play Cosenza. They won 2-1. In terms of AC Milan and how they line up, they actually have a few injuries, and one of them is the newly signed Pavlovic. He most likely not going to feature in this game, but we do think Morata will play. So they're probably going to start with Mainang in goal, Calabrera, Tomori, Pavlovic. We have him in the starting lineup, but he does have a potential fitness issue. Hernandez at the back. Midfield, Benecia and Reinders, and then a front sort of 3 or 4 of Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, Leao, and then Morata up top.
Some pretty familiar names there from Premier League, aren't there?
Yeah, there is, especially obviously Loftus-Cheek, and Morata was at Chelsea, wasn't he?
Pulisic as well.
Yeah, so that's interesting. In terms of Torino, bit of transfer business, but probably the biggest transfer was out, and it was Buongiorno, who went to Napoli for 35 million euros. It's a big move. It is a big move. Now, in terms of replacing Buongiorno, he was a centre back, one of the best players in probably the Serie A last season at centre back, and look, Torino's brought in like Massina from Udinese for $1 million, and Coco from Las Palmas, who is probably looking to replace him. But yeah, not a like-for-like replacement for sure. And then they brought in Zapata from Atalanta, experienced centre forward, who will most likely start this game. So we think we will see Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Vojvoda, Coco, Massina at the back, Villanova, Ricci, Vlasic, Linetti, Lazaro across the midfield, and then Che Adams and Zapata up front.
Yep. In terms of the way this game is going to finish up, we do like the look of AC Milan. They're odds on to win. What about our correct score prediction?
Yeah, a correct score prediction for this game. We've gone for a 2-0 win for AC Milan. We don't leave Torino many chances in this game. And Torino, to be fair, they finished the season off with a 3-1 home win against AC Milan, actually. I think but in the opposite fixture, AC Milan actually beat Torino 4-1, and at that point AC Milan didn't really have anything else to play for. So yeah, Torino naturally struggles when they play at the San Siro, and yeah, we're gonna go for 2-0 2-0 home win in this game.
Odds on an AC Milan win 1.67. Our under 2.5 goals prediction odds of 1.91. And if you did have an interest in the correct score market, 2-0 will get you 7.5 odds. So take your pick of that bunch if you're interested. If you did think Torino could win at the San Siro, you can get odds of 5.5 or 3.75 for a draw. Or on our website, the poll, 68% of people think, it's going to be a straight-out AC Milan win, and only 9% of people think Torino could get the win here.
Yep.
Next up, we have got Bologna, who take on Udinese, and this one kicks off on Sunday, the 18th of August at 5:30 UK time. Go to footballpredictions.net to see your local kickoff time, betting odds and broadcast, streaming options available in your area. This game is broadcast, streamed live on Bet365. Watch it there, subscription free. Use our bonus code FP365. Bologna at home to Udinese should be an interesting one. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, this one is really interesting because Bologna, as we know, they did really extremely well last season, qualifying for the Champions League, the best ever position in the Serie A, and then cap it off with Champions League, which is really impressive by Bologna. However, they've also then almost been a victim of their own success because the manager left. Thiago Motta left for Juventus, didn't he? So yeah, Motta went to Juventus, the manager, and a lot of it was obviously down to him in terms of getting the team into the Champions League, and equally they've had to say they sold Calafiori and Zirkzee, so two of the biggest profiles from last season. Calafiori went to Arsenal and Zirkzee went to Man United. Have left. Have they been replaced? Of course they have to some extent, but the thing is, can these players step into the shoes of these guys, and also can the new manager Vincenzo Italiano step into Thiago Motta's shoes? So that's going to be an interesting one to follow Bologna's quest this season, especially because they also have to optimize the squad for Champions League, which we know now is expanded from 6 to 8 group games. So yeah, and if you look at the transfer signings, in and outs, you probably have some worries for Bologna, to be honest. Now Udinese, end of last season, again they were struggling quite a bit towards the end of the season. And you'd think that they would have a bit of activity in this transfer window as well, which they have had. They pulled in some players from like Luca from Pisa, Eckelman from Royal Antwerp, and so on, but really smaller signings. And at the same time, the two Brazilian players, two of the best players last season, Martins and Wallace, have gone back to Brazil. So how are these teams going to line up? Now, Bologna actually have a lot of injury issues for this game. Quite a few players looks to be out for this particular game against Udinese, the season starter. So
players.
Yes, seven players out potentially. But yeah, we think that they're going to start with Skorupski in goal, Posch, Bikuma, Erklich, and Lukanikis at the back, and then Moro, Freuler, Fabian in midfield, Orsolini, Dalinja, and Endoi up front in a 4-3-3. So again, sort of a new formation under Vincenzo Italiano. It's going to be interesting to see how Bologna will get on with that. For Udinese, we're looking at a 3-4-2-1 probably. Okoye in goal, Perez, Biol, and Gianetti at the back. And then Ihisibu, Payero, Lovric, Kamara across that midfield. And then Samardzic, Tauvin, and new signing Luca right up front. So that's how we think the teams are going to go down. Now, what do we think of the result? I think this is going to be an interesting one to follow. But yeah, just, Bologna, obviously, they did well last season. Udinese is not really strengthened their position. So really, Bologna should be the better side here. And we think they're just going to edge it.
We do. Yeah, we think also that Udinese might find it difficult to breach Bologna's defence. And they should, Bologna, be able to grind out a win in this game, we think. And we've gone for a 1-0 victory, haven't we, for Bologna at full time. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But looking at the odds, the bookies looking at Bologna to win as well. 1.91 odds. For a draw, you can get 3.4. And at Udinese, when you can get out to 4.4. So they're not really fancying Bologna at all for a win. Our goal prediction under 2.5 goals, so I think it'll be tight and low scoring. And for that, you can get 1.62. So that's our sort of best one for this game. And yeah, so 1-0 to Bologna is what we're thinking will be the thing that's going to happen. And 57% of people on the poll agree. They think that Bologna will win, and only 21% have gone for Udinese, and the rest for a draw. Moving on then to Hellas Verona, who are at home to Napoli. And this one kicks off on Sunday, the 18th of August, 5:30 UK time. Go to footballpredictions.net, our website, for the local kickoff time betting on some broadcast streaming options available in your area. And you can watch this one if you're outside Italy on Bet365, subscription free. So just use our bonus code FP365 if you're new there to them. Both these teams come into the new season full of hope. And how do you see this one panning out?
Yeah, so I think Napoli was probably one of the biggest disappointments last season in the Serie A, because the season before they obviously won they won the Scudetto, so the Scudetto, whatever it's called, they won the Serie A championships. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They won the Serie A the season before, and then obviously they only finished 9th last season, so that was quite a heavy drop for Napoli. And how are they going to react to that this season? And against a Verona side here, first up. Now Napoli have been in action, and let's not hope for Napoli that this is going to be the sort of like how their season is going to pan out, because they actually really struggled against Modena in the Coppa d'Italia, which they had to play this early cup round last week. They only went through 4-3 on penalties in the end against a Modena side who obviously is not in the Serie A, in the league below. So not the ideal start for Napoli. If we look at the home team,
Conte now though, haven't they? Conte's moved there. He's the new coach.
Yes, that's going to be interesting to follow and see how Conte will get on, because obviously we know he tends to do quite well wherever he goes. They've brought in a few players. They picked up Buongueno from Torino for 35 million and Rafa Marin from Real Madrid. So 2 centre backs. So maybe Conte has seen a few issues in the back line. Østigard went to Stade Rennes, but other than that, it's been a very quiet window in terms of players coming into Napoli. They have had a lot of players leaving on free transfers and loans. But yeah, we're going to see a pretty similar Napoli team as we did last season. And actually, Verona, we talk about transfer activity, and Verona has actually been fairly busy this window. But it's always tricky to tell with these Serie A teams and the players that they are bringing in, because again, they just, they don't have the budgets that we will find in some of the other leagues. So some of these signings are scouted from sort of around Europe and lower teams. They brought in Suat Serdar from Hertha Berlin, Chachao from Charleroi in Belgium, and Harouri from Frosinone. So one of the players that went down Frosinone. Yeah, difficult to rate these guys, but what we can say about Verona is they lost one of the big profiles, Juan Cabal, the left back. He went to Juventus for 12 million euros. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Verona will get on, but especially Napoli now with Conte. So anyway, Verona, we're looking at Montipo in goal, one of the new signings, Satsao at the back together with Davidovic, Coppola and Frese in the back four. And then Suat Serdar, who we just also a new player who's come in, will play together with Duda in that holding midfield. Suslov, Haroy and Lasovic just behind Mosquera at up front. Yeah, and Napoli, Merit in goal. We think they're going to play a 3-4-3. Merit in goal, Di Lorenzo, Ramani, and new signing Buonguono at the back, and then a midfield for Machochi, Anguissa, Lobotka, and Spinazzola sitting across the midfield, and then Politano, Raspadori, and Kvaratskhelia leading the front three. So yeah, that was the potential starting lineups. We know that Napoli struggled a bit in that game against Modena. They didn't play their strongest lineup, but they do know what it's all about in the Serie A, and they want to get off to a good start, don't they? So
they do. And Napoli, being now coached by Conte, you kind of know what's going to happen. His style of play is very much defend and counter, isn't it? But he doesn't like to let any goals in. That's his number one priority. And we think because of that that it's going to be a tight one anyway. But being at Hellas Verona, but we think that Napoli will come to the good by a goal and not concede. So we've gone for a 1-0 Napoli win here, haven't we? And just sort of looking at the bookie odds as well on this one. A win on Napoli you can get for 1.8. Hellas Verona to win 4.5, so they're quite out there, really. A draw is 3.5. 67% of people think on our website that on the poll that Napoli will win, and only 20% Hellas Verona.
Yeah,
we go for an under 2.5 goals in this for our prediction. Odds on that at 1.91. So yeah, it should be a tight one, we think. Shall we crack on with Cagliari, who take on Roma? This one's on at 7:45 UK time on Sunday, the 18th of August. This one you can watch on a Bet365 on the live stream. Use our bonus code FP365 and do go to footballpredictions.net for the local kickoff time betting odds and broadcast streaming options available in your area as well. How do you think Cagliari will start their season here?
Oh, it's another team that just about saved themselves from relegation last season. They were just 1 point above Frosinone, and it was really, really tight towards the very, very end for Cagliari. They could have gone down, but and eventually they didn't. The question is then, how strong are they? Have they built what can they build on last season to not end up in that position again? Look, Roma, it's a team that really wants to be pushing for the Champions League spots. And I think they would be very disappointed not to have ended up in the Champions League spots, because there were 5 teams from the Serie A last season that ended up in the Champions League. And to see Atalanta and Bologna in front of them is definitely something that they would like to improve on for this coming season. And they've been very ambitious in the transfer window. One of the biggest spenders in the Serie A this season. They picked Dovbyk, the Ukrainian center forward from Girona. We know he got a lot of goals there last season, and one of the key reasons why Girona did so well in the La Liga. So that's a very interesting signing. They brought Sule from Juventus for 25 million, Lefebvre from Stade Rennes for 23 million, Angelino from Leipzig, 5 million, Samuel Dell from Djurgården, and another left back. He probably won't be the main left back. That'll be Angelino. But yeah, very ambitious moves in the transfer markets, because really on the out, they haven't really, they've only said goodbye to a few players who weren't really around the starting lineup last season, apart from Hussam Aurora, who went to Al Ittihad. So yeah, look, Roma definitely gonna go for it this season. And yeah, if we look at Cagliari, that's a team, like we said, they were really struggling. They were really struggling in the Serie A. last season. They almost got relegated. And in terms of their transfer business, they have brought in a few players, but yeah, again, it's from lower league teams. They did pick Sotia from Atalanta, who was sort of a leftover. But at the end of the day, it's really odd to see how they've gone around their business, because they then sell some of their better players. Docena went to Como for 8 million. Sulemana went to Atlanta the other ways for 7.5. So it's almost like some of the better players have left. They're trying to replace them. But yeah, this is going to be a tricky season, another tricky season for Cagliari. And how they go, yeah. If we look at the lineup,
Cagliari got a couple of players out too. I think Yerry Mina's maybe not going to be fit for this one, and Chiocci's also got some shoulder injury. But apart from that, how are they going to line up, Cagliari?
Yeah, we think they're probably going to go with this 3-4-1-2 system. Scofford in goal, and then the back three of Zappa, Wicesca, Luperto, and midfield four of Sotia, Marin, Macumbao, and Aguero, and then sort of a Lubumbo who sits just behind Lapadula and Piccoli. Now for Roma, this is an interesting one. 4-3-3, Svila in goal, Silic, Mancini, and Dicha, and new signing Angelino at the back. Then another new signing in midfield, Lefebvre, together with Cristante and Pellegrini. And then a front three, which looks really strong, Sule, Dovbyk, and Dybala. So yeah, I think there's something to fear there for Cagliari, but also for the other teams in the Serie. I think that front three doesn't come much stronger.
Yeah, you're right. And I think Cagliari will do well to break down that Roma lineup, don't you think? And they'll be probably under attack for a lot of the game. I know they're at home, but it should be a competitive one. And that's reflected in what we think. What are we going to go for here, Moose, for the scoreline?
Yeah, so I think I talked Roma up quite a bit, but this is the first game of the season, and we know Italian football at the same time. We are going to go with a Roma win, but a narrow 1-0 win. So a 1-0 win for Roma. We think they're going to get off to a winning start. But you said, Guesty, as well, we think Cagliari would really struggle to break down this Roma team.
Yeah, we think it'll be a Roma win. Odds on that for a full-time result, Roma win 1.95. They are the favourites. And what we are actually predicting, like you said, we think it'll be close and tight. So we're going for an under 2.5 goals. That's our real prediction here. 1.91 odds, so it's about the same. If you want to go for a correct score of 1-0, that's 7.5 odds. And just looking at the poll on our site, you've got 12% of people think that Cagliari can get away with a win here. So not many. And nearly 60% Roma, and the rest a draw.
Yeah.
So yeah, see how it goes. But yeah, as usual, should be a good match to start the season. Everything's up for grabs. Next up, we've got Lazio, who take on Venezia. Yeah, Venice. This one kicks off on Sunday, the 18th of August at 7:45 UK time. It's also streamed live on Bet365. Use the bonus code FP365 if you're a new customer there. Visit footballpredictions.net and you can see the kickoff time, betting odds, and broadcast streaming channels tailored to your location for this match. So Lazio at home, how do you see their business having done over the off season?
Yeah, look, Lazio, another Rome team that just dropped below the European, like the Champions League spots, together with obviously Roma, who went 6th, and then Lazio in 7th. Another team that will probably be they want to sit in those Champions League spots, Lazio, and it'll be interesting again to see how they're going to get on this season. Now, Venezia, obviously a promoted team from the Serie B, so a new team into the Serie A. It's going to be interesting to see how they will get on. But yeah, if we look at Lazio and how they've gone around their business this transfer window, it's not as interesting as their fellow Rome team, Roma, I would say. They brought in Guendouzi from Marseille, Juana from Salernitana, and Noslin from Verona, for a combined sort of 30 million. But yeah, on the other hand, Alberto left for Qatari team Al Juhail, and Maximiano went to Almeria in Spain. So yeah, really a not so exciting window, I think, for Lazio, apart from bringing in Guendouzi from Marseille. In terms of Venezia, obviously, again, like I've mentioned it a few times now, but obviously the money as you get into the Serie A is not as interesting as when you get into the Premier League. So Venezia has spent a combined 8 million euros on their team. Yes, they picked up Oristiano from Inter, Sagrado from Leuven in Belgium, Altaro from Cagliari, and Doumbia from Albino Leffe in the Serie B, and then a few free transfers, one from Fiorentina, Alfred Duncan, and a guy from Piacenza. So I think, but what are we trying to say here really is like, look, you get from the Serie B into the Serie A is not easy. And the types of players that you can get hold of is really, it looks a bit scrappy in terms of what you can get hold of, right? So these teams that come up, they will struggle. But at the same time, when you're finishing mid to lower table in the Serie A, these teams, they don't have huge budgets either. So look, if you have a great coach, you have a bit of momentum, you can definitely compete with the likes of Empoli and Cagliari and so on, and Monza. So it'll be interesting to follow Venezia and how they're going to get on. Anyway, for Lazio, we have a few players that looks to be out, Tavares and Gonzalez. But how else are they going to line up? Provedel in goal, Lazzari, Patric, Romagnoli, and Marusic at the back. And then new signing Guendouzi will start in midfield together with Vicino and Isaksen. And then we have Castrovilli, Sagnachi, and Castellanos sort of leading that front line. And for Venezia, probably a lot of names here that will be new to many when it comes to the Serie A. Jesse Jordan in goal. We'll have a back three potentially of Itzic, Swoboda, Svako. Then they play a midfield four, Sampano, Anderson, Alfred Duncan, who came in from Fiorentina, Candela. And then they played two just behind their front guy, Christian Gütker. So they play Pirini and Oristiano just behind. So yeah, that's how we think the teams are going to line up. But yeah, no matter what, this is going to be a really, really tricky test for Venezia at Lazio, because Lazio, they're definitely the stronger side here.
Yeah, and we think they'll get a couple of goals, don't we, in this one when they meet Venezia?
Yeah,
who we don't actually think will have much luck in finding the back of the net, especially at Lazio. So we've gone for a 2-0, haven't we? Comfortable 2-0 win for Lazio by the end of this game. Looking at the odds as well, you can get Lazio for 1.48 for the win, so they're heavily favoured, odds-on favourites. For a draw, you can pick up 4.33, and for Venezia to win, it's all the way out at 7.5. So yeah, not very liked for a win at Lazio. We have gone for we've gone for a Lazio win. That's the main one, I think. But for under 2.5 goals, which is our other one for this, 1.91 odds. Yeah,
I think if we look at Lazio last season as well, they are historically quite good at home when they are playing at home, and the only defeats they really suffered last season were to the better teams, AC Milan, Inter, Bologna. They did suffer a defeat to Udinese and Genoa as well. But anyway, I think overall Lazio is just a really strong home team, and they also finished off the Serie A quite well. They just had one defeat in the last 10. Other than that, they had 6 wins and 3 draws. So a strong finish to the season, and that could kick on their season or their season start this year. So be interesting to follow. But yeah, we're going to go for a 2-0 Lazio home win.
On our user poll on the website as well, 64% of people think a Lazio win, only 7% a Venice win, and the others all for a draw. So yeah, pretty convincing, we think. Hopefully that one. Next up, we've got Lecce, who take on Atalanta, and this one's on a Monday. Excuse me, Monday night at 5:30. UK time, 19th of August. On footballpredictions.net, you can find your localized kickoff time, of course, with the odds and the TV channels also localized. You can watch this one on Bet365, live streamed, subscription free. Use the bonus code FP365. So Lecce, are coming to another season. They didn't finish off particularly well last season, whereas Atalanta did pretty much. But what do you think about their summer transfer business and how they'll line up?
Yeah, I mean, look, Lecce actually only finished 3 points above the relegation zone. I think most of our listeners who listen to the Serie A podcast from last seasons would know that the end of the Serie A season in that bottom half was actually really, really super interesting. There were like 8 or 9 teams almost just fighting it out for a couple of relegation spots right to the very end. And one of them were Lecce. And yeah, like look, in terms of their season and what you just said, Steve, they didn't finish the season well, but they just got those important wins that meant they stayed up, because the wins that they got towards the end of the season were against the likes of Sassuolo, Empoli, and Salernitana, which were some of the teams that obviously got relegated. Not Empoli, but they were close. So they picked the right wins towards the end of the season. But wow, if we look at Lecce overall, the first 5 games of last season, they won 3 and drew 2. But for the rest of the season, and that means 33 matches, they only won 5 games in total. So yeah, I do fear for Lecce this season, because they'll need a complete reset, because obviously if they were to continue that form into this season, that will be that's not going to end well. Let's say it like that. That's not going to end well. They're playing a Atalanta team who, wow, how well did they do last season, qualifying for the Champions League, and they won the Europa League. So that was very, very strong, strong statement from Atalanta, and they will they have a Super Cup game coming up as well, don't they? They're playing Real Madrid in the Super Cup.
No, they just lost. They just lost it. They lost that game, didn't they? That was yesterday. I was watching it.
That's right. 2-0. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, they lost 2-0. Kylian Mbappe scored for Real Madrid and Valverde. But yeah, anyway, look, Atalanta really, they've come onto the European scene, and I think you can see that also in their transfer business. They brought in some really strong players. Retegui from Genoa, like a strong centre forward, got quite a few goals for Genoa last season, and also like this is a bit of a statement. They're buying one of the best players from AC Milan, at the top of the Serie A, Di Ketelaere, and then they got Ben Godfrey from Everton. Together with Sulemana from Cagliari. So they're picking up profiles from the other Serie A teams. A few players have gone out, but I would say nothing major. Probably more a surplus to requirement that have gone out from Atalanta. So anyway, we're looking at a strong Atalanta team. Up? Yeah, actually, let's start with Atalanta, because we're just on them. They have a few injuries. They have 4 players out: Toloi, Signori, Scalvini, and Scamacca. Most likely not be involved in this game. So they're going to start with Kaneshie in goal, back 3 of Jim City, Hein, Kolasinac, and then a midfield 4 of Zappacosta, Dirun, Jose, and Ruggeri. And then as this front 3, with Pasalic and Lukman just behind new signing Di Ketelaere. So that's how we think they're gonna line up against Lecce. And Lecce, Falcone in goal, back 4 of Gendry, Basirotto, Gaspar, and Dogu, and then they play a holding 2 of Piret, Ramadani, sorry, and then they have Odin, Machwinski, Morento playing just behind Krustovic up front. So yeah, that's how we think they're going to line up. And what do we think for the result then? I think it's already in the cards that we're going to go with an Atalanta win here.
Yeah, we are, and we've gone for a close game though.
Close game, yeah.
We've gone for a 1-0 Atalanta win. Obviously, it's away for them. always makes things a bit trickier. But yeah, we think Lecce will try and stop them, but they'll just be able to, they'll leak one through. So that's our prediction. Just looking at the Atalanta to win odds 1.85. So they are obviously the favourites there by some margin. We're going for under 2.5 goals in this one, and you can get odds there, better odds actually, of 1.91 currently. That's our pick. If you did think that Lecce could win at home, 4.2 odds, which is actually higher than the draw of 3.7. So let's see how that goes. And if you did like a correct score prediction, our 1-0 prediction, you can get odds of 7 or 6-1 in fractional.
Yep.
Moving on now to Juventus. The
Yes.
mighty Juventus, who take on Como, the not so mighty Como. And this one's on at 7:45 on Monday as well, 19th of August. Stream it live on Bet365. Use their bonus code FP365 if you're joining them, or click on the link in the description. Find your local kickoff time for this game with the odds as well and the available broadcast streaming channels for this match on footballpredictions.net. So yeah, it's interesting because these two teams, obviously one's coming out of Serie B and one's finishing in Serie A, but both of them have a pretty identical record coming into this in their respective leagues, which is a couple of wins, including a Coppa Italia, and a lot of draws. So it's about they didn't finish this season off particularly well, either of them, did they?
No, I think, look, what is so fascinating and looking at Juventus last season was just how almost ridiculously strong they were up until January. Up until January, they had played, I think we're talking about 20 or so games, 22 games, most of them wins, just 4 draws, 1 defeat. So yeah, you're looking at 15, 16 wins, 4 draws, 1 defeat. Now, then what happened? Because over the course of the next 17 matches, Juventus only won 3 games towards the end of the season. So they completely stalled. And what it meant was obviously Inter went on to win the Serie A, and Milan finished in front of them. So yeah, it will be very fascinating to see how Juventus is going to get on this season, because wow, that was a tale of 2 halves. That was, but yeah, they have a pretty, let's say, easy start to the season here. They're going to play Como. And for those who don't know Como, they are based on Lake Como, which is a very beautiful spot in Italy. And you do own yourself to Google their stadium, because wow, that is a that is a stadium that I think most people would like to visit, right on Lake Como.
They've got a familiar name as their manager as well now. Cesc Fabregas is their manager, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a quite a popular
place for him to go.
Yeah, obviously Lake Como is a very exclusive place, and now they're in the Serie A, so it's going to be interesting to see how they'll be getting on. But yeah, look back to Juventus and some of their transfer business this summer. They bought Douglas Luiz in from Aston Villa for 50 million euros. They picked up Thuram at Nice for 20 million and Cabal at Verona. So they definitely addressed a few issues there in their lineup. But at the same time, they also sold Sule to Roma, Huijsen to Bournemouth, and Illing Jr. to Aston Villa, and Moise Kean went to Fiorentina. So yeah, it's kind of a bit, is it improvements? I mean, definitely Douglas Luiz and Thuram, I would say, are going to improve that lineup. But yeah, let's see how they can challenge Inter for the title this season. Juve is at home, and Miretti and Kostic are most likely out for the new manager, Thiago Motta. That will also be interesting to see how Juve is going to get on with new management. Because like we know, Motta did extremely well at Bologna last season. So if he can transfer that to Juve, who has a bigger budget, probably better squad than Bologna as well, it will be interesting to see what's going to come out of that. But yeah, we're looking at a 4-2-3-1. Motta likes to play a very fluid system, which he himself has referred to as I think it was a 2-7-1 or something like that. It's really ridiculous. But anyway, they're gonna start with Di Gregorio in goal, Danilo, Bremer, Gatti, Cambiaso at the back, and then new boys Luis Thuram sitting in midfield together with Villa, Fagioli, and Gildes, and then Vlahovic up front. And yeah, Como, probably the most familiar name there seems to be Cesc Fabregas, but actually they picked up Rafael Varane from United on a free. But
he's been injured already.
but he's injured already. So yeah, it's like, okay, he's getting into the team, but yeah, at the same time, he's injured, so it's not looking to he's not looking to start. But anyway, Como, and these names are not going to be familiar with most, but Adrora in goal, Cassandro, Goldniga.
It's not Gold Digger.
Gold Digger, yeah. Gold Digger. Docena and Moreno at the back. Strefesa, Engelhardt, Mattitelli, and Dacuna in a midfield 4, and then a front 2 of Crotone and Belotti. A classic 4-4-2 by Cesc Fabregas. It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to get on in the Serie A. But yeah, we don't think he's going to get off to a good start, do we?
No, I think the old lady will take this one at home. First game of the season, they'll be revved up, won't they, for hopefully a tilt at the title, which they've got a lot of. And yeah, we think Como will struggle and probably won't get on the score sheet. So yeah, we've gone for a fairly straightforward, controlled 2-0 win for Juve for this one. Look at the odds, shall we? 1.33. That's how much they're favoured. If you want a Juventus win, 1.33, yeah. And it's actually 10 if you want a Como win. Regarding our prediction of under 2.5 goals, you can get odds of 2 for that. It could be more. It's a bit of a tricky one now. I don't know if I'd really go for under 2.5, but we have gone for 2-0. Could easily be 3-0. But I think the Juventus win is obviously your very safest bet on that one. But if you did like 2-0 as a score, you can get that for odds of 6 or 5-1. Just looking at our poll, everyone's thinking 100% of people, I think so far, think Juventus will win the game. Yeah, and I think I agree with them. So yeah, that wraps up that one, and the rest of them, actually, all of them.
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch these matches, which are all streamed on Bet365, geolocation and live streaming rules do apply. 18 plus gamble away, and do use that bonus code FP365 if you haven't already got an account.
Exactly. And in the description area of this podcast, you'll see links to all the matches we just covered, or you just simply go to our website, footballpredictions.net. And the beauty is that you can have a look at all the online places where you can watch the games from your location via streaming and TV channels, our predictions for different betting markets, plus the best offers and odds.
And if you like this podcast, do give us a like, please. And we also produce them for a number of different competitions in addition to Serie A. And you can listen to them all at podcast.footballpredictions.net or where you usually access your podcasts. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening. And for now, it's
goodbye.
I thought you were going to say ciao. Bye.
Ciao.
Football predictions.